Hi, I'm Dan Kreiness, host of the Leader of Learning podcast, a part of the Education Podcast Network, just like the show you're listening to now. Shows on the network are individually owned and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other interesting education podcasts at edupodcastnetwork.com.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to another wonderful episode of My EdTech Life. Thank you so much for all of you guys that are joining us this beautiful, beautiful Saturday morning. I hope you guys are already caffeinated, or maybe you already have, or just starting your first cup of the day like we are here this morning. So we're definitely excited. We're caffeinated. We are energized, and we're definitely looking forward to a wonderful conversation with these wonderful and amazing friends. I mean, these ladies are just wonderful. They're powerhouses, each in their own respect. And we're just very thankful that they've made some time to be here today to share the amazing project that they're working on. And I'll let them tell you a little bit more about that as we get to meet them. But I just want to give a special shout out to Dr. Dan Kreiness, who's been a guest here on our show. It was his birthday yesterday, so happy birthday, Dr. Dan Kreiness. And this coming Monday, I believe, or Tuesday, I'm not sure, he's dropping his 100th episode. So congratulations, Dr. Dan Kreiness, on the wonderful job. And so go check him out on the Edu Podcast Network. And you can hear some other podcasts there. Wonderful educators. So thank you so much. So let's go ahead and get started today and introduce our wonderful and lovely guests. So we'll go ahead and start with Becky. Becky, go ahead and introduce yourself to our wonderful audience watching this morning.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Becky Calling. I am an instructional coach in Southern California, so Los Angeles County, and just up in the valley, a small elementary-only district. And I say small, we have 10 elementary schools. But yeah, I'm an instructional coach. I support initially in all things science, and then my focus shifted to supporting technology integration and using technology to enhance instruction.
So, nice. Yeah. Thank you so much, Becky.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, you're very welcome. Always a pleasure. And next we've got Georgina. So Georgina, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Well, first of all, greetings from your future, all three of you, and many people in the show. Although Abed's joining in the chat, and he's in the future with me. So howdy to everybody joining in the chat. My name's Georgina Dean, if you haven't seen me before, and I'm working as Director of Learning Technology in Amman, Jordan in the Middle East. So I'm supporting a K-12 international school with their digital transformation. And I also do a few hours of instructional coaching and a few other goodies as well. So it's an epic time to be an ed tech leader in the Middle East right now. So yeah, and thank you for your hospitality, Fonz. It's always so amazing to collaborate together.
Always. Thank you so much, Georgina. I appreciate you. Appreciate all of you. And next up, we have the wonderful Shannon Moore. Shannon, introduce yourself to our wonderful audience.
Hi, guys. So glad to be here. Thanks so much, Fonz. It's, so exciting that we get I think this is our first appearance as 3CCs on somebody else's show. And so we are so grateful that you are number one, of course, because, you're a part of our PLN and our PLF, if it's your way. I'm Shannon Moore. I'm a high school English and speech teacher, and I teach full time. I'm also a technology coach, I live in Central California, so living on the West Coast. I'm excited to be here, excited to see, where we're going to go. And I just love sharing about education. And so here we go. Let's do it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And just a big shout out to some of our guests that are joining us here. Of course, you mentioned the great Abed Patel, who was a guest recently on our show. So it's always great to have Abed Patel here. He's a wonderful wonderful friend, and again, just a member of our growing PLN and PLF. We also have Dr. Matt Rhodes, who is the author of Navigating the Toggle Term, who was also a guest on our show. And I know that you guys have collaborated, or I think maybe Shannon or some of you have also collaborated with him. Just a great, great person. So please make sure that you follow him as well. And of course, we've got Mel. So Mel is doing some tennis right now, but she definitely is listening in on the hot sauce conversation that we'll be having. And shout out to Amanda Macias. Hello, Amanda. Thank you so much. Amanda's always been a longtime supporter. So thank you so much to everybody. So ladies, let's go ahead and get talking here, because I know the topic that we have today is talking about enhancing instructional practices for instructional coaches and educators. And I know that along these lines, you created a podcast where you're going to be sharing a lot of goods, a lot of like straight up awesome sauce for many of our educators, that serve, all our schools, and that can be useful. So before we get into that a little bit, just talk to us a little bit about how this project came about, the vision, and where it is that you want to take it. So we can go ahead and start. Maybe we'll start with Shannon this time.
Sure. Yeah. So, this was a brainchild to start in Becky's brain. And, Becky and I had chatted quite a bit just about, all things education, and really wanting to stretch ourselves and do something where we could, and really support other educators who are navigating the same journey. For Becky and I, we've been virtual since last spring. And so we know that there is a lot, that teachers are dealing with, because we've experienced it ourselves. And, coaches have been a thing. And, all three of us are, co-leaders of EC Open Chat, along with Francis, who's also in the chat, and Jared and Bonnie. And so, coaching and teaching and having those conversations was something that we wanted to do. And we thought, you know what, Becky approached me initially, and she was like, hey, what do you think about a podcast? And I was like, yeah, I'm in. I've always wanted to try a podcast. And so that's kind of where we were. And then, Becky, you want to go ahead and share like how we looped Georgina in?
Yeah, definitely. So it was like Shannon said, all about coaching, and not like coaching in just one specific model or method, and then or like one specific brand, I should say, too, because there's a lot of different platforms out there for coaching, and we know that coaching is a growing field. And so Shannon and Georgina talk regularly, and Georgina and I kind of talked regularly. And then, in all honesty, it was one of those nights where Shannon was like, hey, I'm chatting with Georgina. You want to come jump on? Like, just totally for fun, friends, not in a professional setting. And I was like, yeah, I'm in my pajamas. Of course I want to jump on and hang out with you too. And so I did. And I think that call went from like 10 p.m. until 1 a.m. of just us chatting and having the best time and laughing hysterically about everything. And I started texting Shannon on the side, and I was like, did you tell Georgina about the podcast? Like, I didn't want to be the one to be like, can we bring someone else in? And I might be oversharing, but I love how it kind of just so organically came about. And Shannon was like, no, but I like this idea. And so we were like, Georgina, you are the fit for this. Like, we need you. You have to come on board with us and join us on this crazy journey. And so she was all on board, and came with so many ideas, and was like, we have to take this beyond coaching. This isn't just coaching. This is leadership. This is mentoring, and coaching is different in many positions. Like, you can be a coach as a teacher, you can be a coach as an admin. So it really was a perfect fit, because it kind of took our vision and helped us expand and grow. And if you don't know Georgina, she is one of the most creative minds I know. And so she is going to we had this idea. Shannon, did you say this? I don't think so. Neither Shannon or I have ever podcasted before. Shannon taught podcasting to her students, but this was like a new world. And Georgina hasn't either. Like, she didn't run a podcast. And so it was just good to get another perspective in there and to really grow this vision. And then it turned into let's add in a new component, which is the book study. And so Georgina, I'm going to have you come on and share more about your idea behind the book study, because it just took I have mine, but it's like 2 feet away. They're all holding up the book. But it took the podcast and was like, here's a whole new twist. Not only is it coaching, mentoring, leading, and not only are we sharing everything we love in life, but we're also going to provide a new platform for professional development and for growing in our skills. So Georgina, tell us about our book, How to Lead, and how that's running, and then a little bit behind the 3 pillars.
Yeah, so super, super excited about the book study half of this podcast. Well, first of all, shout out to Becky and Shannon, who did an amazing second episode. So if you haven't checked that out, you need to check out 3caffeinatedcoaches.com, and you can listen to their amazing podcast on any of your favorite platforms. So if you want to learn how to get comfortable with discomfort, then that is the spot to go. So shout out to them. Really, really thought-provoking ideas to support you in the new normal. So that leads us to episode 3, which just launched actually on Wednesday. So we've got 3 episodes for 3 caffeinated coaches, and you get to celebrate that with us, Fonzie. So thank you for having us on the show to do that. Okay, so the book, guys, is How to Lead by Jo Owen. And I'm really, really excited about the book because I've been wanting to read it since just before we went into first lockdown. So here in the Middle East, we went into our first lockdown in March of 2020. So I've had the book sitting here wanting to read it. And as you all know on the show and in the chat, COVID times has just been absolutely crazy busy with all of us trying to support the community. So I never had a chance to dive in. So we actually we did Shannon, wrong way, Shannon's that way. We did Shannon's waterfall chat. So if you haven't checked that out, definitely connect with her on Twitter and check out her resources for waterfall chat on our book choices. So we were like, I want to study this. I want to learn about leadership through this book. So we all threw in our book choices in waterfall chat on Zoom in one of our meetings together. And How to Lead ended up being consecutively like on all 3 of our chats. So we chose to start with that one. So if you haven't yet dived into Jo Owen's How to Lead, it's absolutely brilliant. We have the 5th edition, and it's in 4 different parts. And I would recommend reading the introduction to start with, because that was probably my favorite part to start with. And it's 5 parts, sorry guys, not 4. And the first one is Set Your Direction. So it's all about like, where are we going? Why are we here? Why are we coaching? Why do we want to learn to be better leaders? And how do we get that ball started? So it's all about culture, and there are so many great takeaways. My favorite part about the book is that it has like, Jo Owen throws in quotes all throughout the book, and they're really inspiring quotes. So you could even just live off the quotes alone, and that would be enough to take you through. But it's quite a journey, and I know you've started reading the book too, Fawn, so I'm interested to hear your takes. But the basic bottom line of the book study, guys, is it's asynchronous. So it's a slow chat on a Google slide deck. If you're interested to join, please do, because there's 5 other exciting parts to dive into. And Gerardo's on the call, Roxy's there, a few others who have also participated towards episode 3. So you basically get the Google slide deck, and you have 2 weeks to read that part of the book and share your ideas, your responses to 10 questions. It's basically 1 question per chapter. And then after 2 weeks, we lock the slide deck, and I record. I have the distinct honor of amplifying all of the voices in the Google slide deck. And the idea basically is, I know for myself, I was telling the girls all along, I listen to audiobooks and podcasts at like 2 times the speed, because I don't have time to consume things reading that quickly, right? And so I was thinking maybe others also don't necessarily have time to read through a Google slide deck or a Google Doc of answers. So I thought, let's air it, and then people can listen to it while they're driving or cooking dinner, etc. So that's basically the bottom line. So every other episode will be a book study air, basically.
And I think that this is something that is amazing. It's just so powerful because now we have, due to, of course, COVID, I mean, as educators, we're passionate. We want to share our knowledge. We want to help others. And we have found so many different ways to be able to empower other educators to improve their practice and us also as well. I mean, just as leaders, we're continually looking and we're always continually looking for ways to improve and how to always better ourselves. That way we can continue to serve our education community, our learning community, serve our parents and in every way, shape, or form. And I think that what you have done is something that's wonderful where we get to hear, the conversations between Becky and Shannon are amazing. Listening to them and those podcasts, it's just so powerful. And they really go deep and they really get you thinking and you're kind of like, whoa, okay, I never saw things that way. Or, hey, you know what? Maybe I need to do this. And little ways to improve your practice in a great way. So, and they make it so simple and practical. But now adding this component of the book and having you lead that book study too, this is amazing. Podcast PD, pretty much. It's professional development. And we've got like Reshma saying, like, hey, as I walk, I'm listening to this, I'm getting professional development. This is amazing. And we all know that for the most part, as educators, we were always used to being in a school setting and somebody coming and giving us professional development. But now through Twitter, through Facebook, through Instagram, educators are seeking out their own personalized professional development. And I highly, highly recommend definitely the 3CC's podcast because they definitely are on point and they bring the awesome sauce. And of course, they also, I know I'm going to share this because I didn't put it there in the chat, but I really want you guys to talk about the 3 pillars. This is something that I really love about the 3CCs. There are 3 pillars, and I'm not going to spoil the 3 pillars, but let's go ahead and come back to Shannon. And Shannon, maybe talk to us a little bit about the 3 pillars of the 3CCs.
Yeah, absolutely. So, everything in threes, right? Everything's better in threes, hence us. And truly, the only reason we're all together is because we all have different hair color. That was essentially why we came together, just so everybody's clear. Brown, blonde, and red. I'm just kidding, guys. But when we get to the pillars, every single movement project that we take on, all of us are really passionate about this idea of having a clear vision of like where we want to go, where we want to end up, and constantly revisiting that and being in flex in regards to that. And it's really important to me. If anybody knows me, like I am big on purpose. Like if we don't establish a purpose at the start, then what's the point, right? We're just going to be aimlessly kind of wandering through our experience. And so as we come together, we've really sat down and we've talked about purpose and, protocols and goals and all of those. And out of that came these 3 pillars. And I think that I'll talk about one and then I'll pass it over to my friends here for them to talk about a couple of the others. But I'd like to talk about connect today. So one of the things that drives me in education is this idea of relationships and connections. It is the most important thing in my mind. As an educator, as a coach, as a friend, as a human, I think connections are where it lies. Everything should revolve around that. And so one of our pillars is connect, and we are going to really aim to reach across the sound waves and connect with individuals in a true and meaningful way. And I think that's why the book study podcast is such a unique thing, right? Because it allows people's voices to be heard, and we can build that connection outside of the episode, right? We can connect on EduTwitter and really, really dive in and get to know people and support people along the way, and then make connections between them and our network. And it just becomes this awesome kind of collaboration of individuals moving forward together with a common goal and passion, which is, teaching kids and making them feel loved and supporting educators. And so connections are really, really important for us, I think. And that's going to always be kind of a signpost or one corner of our foundation that propels us forward.
I love that. The power of connection and really, Shannon, I remember, as the same thing, as okay, we were locked in, making connections. Then we were going also through the process of, Innovator Academy, applying for that, and then just making connections with all of these wonderful people, and now collaborating together. Now you guys have created something that's wonderful through the power of connection. And you guys are so active on Twitter. I don't know how you find the time to do what you do, but sincerely, I do appreciate what you do, because the things that you share and the way that you connect with others and the way that others reach out to you. I mean, what you guys are doing for the Twitter community is something that is great, and it's something that is there forever. And people are definitely gleaning some wonderful things from there for themselves and for their practice. So thank you for what you do as far as being very active on social media and using that power of connection. So let's go ahead and talk about the next pillar here. And so who wants to share the next pillar?
I'll jump in.
All right.
Yeah. So I'll share our next pillar is inspiration or inspire. And what I love about inspiring is like the thought of being able to inspire someone else to try something new or to challenge their thoughts or ideas or current practice. And so when we look at inspire, we're not looking at like, here's what makes everyone happy. Let's share it to continue to make them happy. Like, we really want to dive into what's happening in the right now. I mean, our second episode where we're diving in is getting comfortable with discomfort and talking about the true reality of where we are. We could have started with, let's talk about bright spots and all things happy and this and that. We chose not to for a specific reason. We want to get in, we want to inspire in that way. We also want to inspire through the book study. Not everyone loves to sit and read a professional book. And I mean, I have times where I'll go 6 to 8 months and all I'm reading are novels because that is my escape from the world. But inspiring people to say, like, actually, there's a lot I can get from this. There's a lot I can get that's going to grow my professional and my personal practice through reading this book. It's inspiring. And so any way that we can inspire our listeners, our friends, because I feel like a lot of the people that we're reaching out to are friends, even if we haven't met in person, and inspiring each other, taking this jump and this leap, we aim to do. So inspire is a big one for us. Well, they all three are.
Nice. That's great. That's awesome. And Becky, it's so true. Like you said, sometimes, we do need to get that escape, and just to sit there, like you said, reading a book, and it could be very difficult because, I like to read what I like to read, but, at the same time, the what you're doing, I still come back to it because this is just wonderful. I mean, I've heard people have book studies and then they meet and so on after a certain while. But I love the way that you guys are doing this. And then through the power of podcast, I can hop on, and then I'm waking up, I'm either doing my walk or working out, and then, hey, there you go. I just pop it in and I'm listening to it, or I'll listen and follow along with the book, because I'm one of those, if I have somebody or listen to it and I'm reading in the book and highlighting, and I have a tangible and auditory, I get so much more from it. And I'm definitely benefiting from this as well as I read and do my notes. So that's awesome. And the last pillar, Georgina, go ahead and tell us about the last pillar here.
The last pillar is so meaningful for myself. If you guys are following or connected with me on Twitter, celebrating my PLN is probably one of my favorite things to do when people that I'm connected with achieve new milestones, growth, just even sharing ideas from their own professional development. So celebration is really, really important to me. And it's really, really important for the coaching culture. I don't want to say too much because I know I'm giving a presentation soon on that in a couple of weeks, so I don't want to take away from that. But it's so important when you are supporting, whether it's leaders, whether it's teachers, whether it's students, that whatever small step is actually a big step, and it all deserves celebrating. So it's been a really, really amazing way for us to be able to take the voices that everybody has shared in the Google slide deck and celebrate those. And it was really overwhelming recording my first podcast. I found myself teary-eyed a few times, even though I'm logging in at least every other day, if not every day, to check what the new add-ins are from our listeners and our audience. And so I'm reading it. It's different when you're connecting and you're sharing and amplifying their voice, it brings a different meaning because then you're getting that personal connection, right? So celebrating is something really important. And also, we get to celebrate with our cool beans giveaways. But I'm going to pass it on to one of the other three caffeinated coaches to talk about cool beans. I'm so excited.
And definitely, Georgina, like Shannon put here, your whole being is a celebration. And from the first day that I got to meet you, and as we were going through our Innovator Academy, I mean, you're definitely so inspirational. You're always celebrating other people. And I think that many times for a lot of us, that is something, well, not for a lot of us, all the time, that is something that we really, truly appreciate because oftentimes we go and we do our duties, we do everything, and sometimes you feel like maybe just a little unappreciated or things of that sort. But just having somebody just say, hey, great job, or hey, I noticed what you did there, or that project, or actually like when you were doing the presentation recently that I got to hop on, and you're like, oh, I like your design, I like this, and so on. I was like, oh wow, like it makes you feel good, and I love it because you definitely have that quality, and that's something that leaders definitely should have, that quality of building people up. And you all three of you, I should say, have that wonderful innate quality, and I love it. So kudos to everything that you're doing. And of course, this book study is great, because your role as a leader where you are in Amman, Jordan. I mean, I'm sure that a lot of the things that you were reading from this book definitely resonated because you either lived through them, you've seen them, or it's something that you look forward to using as you improve your practice. So, I mean, coming from somebody like you, this definitely is something that's great. And I'm really glad that you definitely, put that into a mic and now it's out there and you're sharing it with the world because we are all going to definitely benefit from it. So
It's super kind of you to say that, Fons, but I'm just going to hop in and say that actually it's a shout out to everybody who's contributing. I would like to say that I have
yeah,
learned so much from the perspective of like Gerardo, who's in higher ed leading and started his own instructional coaching practice in his community. Jake T, for example, who is brand new to education, and all of the creative flair and passion he brings to the table in a very challenging time. I want to say that what's great about our audience is that they all come from different backgrounds, different countries, different cultures, and different coaching and leadership cultures. And together we are growing because we're learning from each other. So yeah, I'm happy to share my experience always, but I'm so grateful that we get to learn together globally. So yeah, I thought I'd just shout that out.
and no, in continuing with that, because I kind of lost my train of thought. Like when you're highly caffeinated, like your ideas just kind of like, but that is one thing that really stuck out, that the way that you are amplifying voice for these educators, people that are coming in from different areas. And I think that's very important. I know oftentimes as educators, it's like, yeah, we got to amplify student voice. We got to amplify student voice. But sometimes many educators, they don't get their voice amplified and they want a platform to share. And I think with this book study and getting those different perspectives, definitely shout out to all of them that are participating. And Gerardo, I know Gerardo very well. He was a guest, and I learned so much from him, very passionate, and so many educators that are participating that are so passionate about what they do. And now again, we're learning in a big scale now. And so, yeah, definitely big shout out and celebrations to all of them. Now, let's talk a little bit here. I'm going to go back to Becky. Talk to us. I'm always all about giveaways. So let's talk about the little cool beans giveaways here, Becky. So tell us, our audience members, maybe when the next giveaway is, or, what can we expect from the 3CCs?
Yeah, so we want to celebrate and inspire and connect. And one way to do that really is through free things, right? But we want free things to be meaningful. So we are giving away copies, digital copies of How to Lead by Joe Owen during this book study. So that way, if you don't have the book or you weren't able to get it, we can hopefully help out and inspire in that way and get you on board. We had initially, right off the get-go, we had 3 giveaways. They're each focused on one of our 3 different pillars. So check us out on social media. On Twitter, it's at 3cc, at underscore 3cc's. On Instagram, it's at underscore 3 underscore cc's, ccs. I should say the S part. I've had too much caffeine too, so we're going to get those in the chat. But definitely follow us on Twitter and on Instagram to find out about how you can enter to win one of our Cool Beans giveaways. Sometimes the entering is just celebrating another educator. Sometimes it's inspiring educators to do something, or being the Shannon of the group, because Shannon really is the ultimate connector, connecting with somebody else and just helping us connect with educators, coaches, leaders, mentors from around the world. So we should have another 3CC's Cool Beans giveaway coming up soon. So stay on the lookout for that. And we hope to continue along this journey and just support and provide in that way. But follow the hashtag Cool Beans, follow us, and you can find out how to win a digital copy.
There you go. Awesome. So let's dive in just a little bit. It's not a book quiz or anything at all whatsoever, but I definitely would love for our audience members for at least the next couple of minutes, just to talk a little bit more about the book, what to expect. Those people that may have never heard yet of the 3CCs and they're listening or rewatching the show for the very first time. I know we talked about the podcast and the book study, but let's talk a little bit more about that as, more people are going to be tuning in, they're going to be listening. So let's go ahead and talk about how to lead. And I'll go ahead and start with Shannon first, just to get her thoughts in the very beginning. Again, not a book quiz, not telling you what page numbers, but what are the things that, at least during this first part of the book study, some of the things that may have stood out, just that you're like, wow, that's something that maybe I'm already doing, something that can help me improve, or man, I maybe totally need to step back and rethink some things. So, anything that you'd like to share there from the book.
Yeah, well, you're asking an English teacher to not reference the book. You said it's not a book study. So I'm going to try really hard not to be like, okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to move to page, right? So here's the thing. I love this book for so many different reasons. And I'm going to be honest with you. When I first picked this book up and I was looking at it, I thought about, I'm not in senior leadership, right? And so it took me a while to really wrap my mind around this idea, and not just like a while with like, I picked up this book, and it took me a while. I'm talking in my life. It took me a while to really kind of truly believe that I was a leader, that when I read something like How to Lead, which is geared towards a lot of like people who are like running things, right? It took me a bit to say, okay, I am in the classroom and I am a tech coach, but I'm not a principal, or I'm not a superintendent, or I'm not an assistant principal, right? And so maybe I'm not the person that this book's made for. And then I dove in and I started to read, and truly these ladies here have made me realize so much that educators are leaders, coaches are leaders, all of us are leaders. And, it may not look like what society points to when, they qualify leader, on the organizational chart, but we are all leaders and we all have a story to tell. And a lot of what Joe Owen talks about is really refining that perfect story, and how are you going to share it with the people that you are leading. And he gives some really kind of concrete and pragmatic approaches to that. And I really appreciated that. I think that is why it propels me to continue reading. I think it's why I feel like empowered while I'm reading. It's because he makes it so tangible. And even though I may not be a principal of a school, I still am leading educators. I still am leading a group of students, and I have the power to really harness that and grow my leadership skills in a way that will, empower other leaders and amplify voices like we've talked about, and then ultimately propel those individuals on to lead themselves, So it has some really great pieces. And I also love that it's not just grounded in education, that he talks about it from a business perspective as well, because it really does make you open your eyes to the fact that, like, even though it may not be the industry I'm working in, it does apply across, across the board. So
That's awesome, Shannon. And I'd like to mention, just from the very first time that I met you and going into staff room and just being just very quiet and just kind of barely getting to kind of know, then all of a sudden I see like a different Shannon where it's like boom, and I'm like, where did she come from? All of a sudden, like I just see you blow up, on Twitter. I see you, being part of some amazing chats, being part of some amazing shows, and to hear you say like maybe sometimes I just felt like I couldn't lead or I didn't feel that. And from what I've seen you do, even prior to reading this book, it's just something amazing, Shannon. And I just really want to give you a shout out because I have seen you do some amazing things, and you're definitely very inspirational. And you're a person that is really near and dear to me, as all of you are. But just what you offer and the way that you put yourself out there, because you want to genuinely help people through your experience. And like you said, the book helps you make things tangible, makes you see like, hey, and like you said, an English teacher, no, you are a leader. You definitely are. And I love that you challenge yourself, but you also challenge others, in that thought process. And so again, I'm just so thankful for you. And again, thank you for being on the show. And just like we're doing the little private chat, and I'm feeling like overwhelmed, like with joy, because this is an example of also just amplifying educator voice and just sharing your stories. And this is amazing. So thank you.
yeah,
Georgina.
no problem.
Oh,
No problem. Thank you for the compliment. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. Georgina, how about yourself, Georgina? A couple of things that you have seen, maybe noticed or said, maybe I need to rework that, or maybe, hey, you know what? That's something different. Let me push forward with that. Tell us a little bit about your shares.
Yeah, absolutely. But first, I would like to just celebrate Shannon a little more, if that's okay, because that's what we do
Yes,
here at
that's what we do.
3CCs. That is how we roll. Okay, guys. So, time to get comfortable with a little celebration. So, Shannon is a phenomenally inspiring leader, and we can all learn from the way she is leading the community that she currently works with, as well as our community, as well as the global GEG community and different communities that she is supporting. But what was most touching for me was that the experience that she just shared on air is not unsimilar to the experience of one of our audience members. I think it was chapter 8 or 9. It was near the end of part 1, where this audience member jumped into the Google slide deck and said, "Oh, it wasn't until this chapter that I finally considered myself a leader." And it was a really emotional moment for myself when I read it the first time, and then when I aired it on the podcast. And this is what it's about. It's about helping people to realize that everybody has innate ability to lead. Why? Because as Shannon said, we all have an inspiring story to share, right? We all have that innate desire to want to help and support others. So it was really, really powerful. And I hope that not just this book, but more sharing and contributing and collaborating with other listeners will inspire more people to have that epic journey and realization that, hey, actually, yeah, I'm leading and I am a leader. And here's me going to make more epic things in education. So that is that's one of my visions anyway. And I'm really lucky to share that. So congratulations to Shannon and to those people who are going through their own realizations right now. Okay, I forgot what you asked me now, Fawn. Sorry, and I'm all emotional.
Hey, it's all good, Georgina. I love it. I love it. And this is Georgina, guys. This is her. This is the way she always is, and that's so wonderful. But Georgina, I had just asked, like, what are some of the things that you have gleaned from the book, to help you reflect on your personal practice as well, and things that maybe you want to share out where you might have had an epiphany and say, "Oh, look at that," or "Hey, look at that." So, just
Yeah. No, brilliant. Thank you for bringing me back. I could talk forever on celebration, so it's a good job you're the anchor here, Fonz. Okay, so definitely, as mentioned earlier in the book, there is this corporate feel to it, right? And unlike, as you'll have heard me say in episode 3 of the podcast, it's not unlike the corporate world, right? Where student centricity, learner centricity, agency, voice, etc. This is all key. So who are our learners? What are we doing here? What is our purpose? And it brings me back to that entire vertical strategic development, that just doesn't sit with our role or our team that we're supporting, but actually it should funnel and feed through all areas of an organization. And I just thought that was so powerful. It's like almost a grounding force, and I'm not an architect or a builder, so don't quote me on this, but my understanding is that we have to have foundations when we build a building, right? Construct a house or, a shop, etc. And so you have to lay the foundation under the ground and then build up. And so it's that idea of what is the foundation, your mission and your vision, and does it align? And are all of your staff members and your board members and your parent community, is everybody on board? And is everything you do across the school helping you not just to survive, but helping you to thrive in the new normal and beyond? So it's very, very powerful. Got a little bit of goosebumps there, reminiscing the reading. And I hope you'll all join me in reading and connecting with that. But the vision, we talked about the 3 pillars for the 3 CCs. It's the same thing. Whatever your story is, whatever your mission is, you have to make sure that it is a clear vision and that it is grounded and founded and everybody is on board. So, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. That's a great share. So guys, if you're listening, look at this. If you're rewatching the show or listening to the podcast, you definitely need to check out the 3CCs podcast, because it is going to be definitely worth every minute, because you're going to get this book study, but also you're going to get, Becky and Shannon sharing their experiences, and it's just amazing. So Becky, tell us a little bit more. How about yourself? What are some of the things that, popped up out of the book for you?
Yeah, so Georgina and Shannon have definitely hit on a lot of this, but what initially stood out to me was that this book, I felt like when I first got it, it was written for a corporate leader, like CEO, COO, whatever 3 acronym titles someone might have that's in, 3, has to be 3, right? In the corporate world. And so I started looking at it and I was like, okay, this is cool. I'm going to find out about how to leave education. Not really what I'm thinking, but I was excited for it. And then Georgina really does a phenomenal job of taking it and taking these concepts that are written for that corporate world and tying it into education and tying it into our practice. And so as I'm reading it, I am gaining a lot, but I actually gained so much more going through the slide deck and going through the slow chat and listening to others' responses in how do we take this concept of you need to have a clear, direct vision. You need to have your goals. Let's be honest, usually when I'm goal setting at the beginning of the school year for work, it's here, I'm going to pick one of the, teaching standards and I'm going to say that's my goal for the year, but I have personal goals and they don't always align. This book is truly causing that alignment between goals and where I want to go, how it's done in the corporate world. I'm using quotes because really how it's done in the corporate world is the same as schools. But then as I've been looking at this and diving into this, I think it even goes a step further. It goes beyond just corporate world to teacher, coach, admin. These are skills that we can start teaching students so that students can be those leaders. Teaching students that you not only have to have a clear path. What do you want to do with this? Where are you going with this? Making this book real world for our students too. No, I don't think they need to read the book, but I think we could lead them through the process, through these steps. For me, it stood out when it said most people have an idea, but they don't actually follow through with it. How crazy is that? That's crazy for me because I have an idea and I'm like, let's do it. And then I guess if it fails, then we're just going to move on to the next thing. That's cool. But not everyone is like that. And that's for a good reason. So I think that a lot of this is taking it, hearing these big ideas and big concepts and breaking it down and really understanding the impact that it has on our personal, professional, and student lives, because it all comes back to the students and how we can support them and what are we doing with this to prepare them for their future. So that's what I'm gaining from the book. That sounds really big picture. I share that though because I did start reading it and think, well, this is for a 3 acronym big title person, and it's not. It's really for any leader.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I felt when I read this book, because I know I've shared this oftentimes, so you're probably tired of this, but or maybe you're listening for the very first time. But I did not go to university to become a teacher. I did not want to be a teacher. I was like, no way, I want to make money. So I went to business school and graduated the degree in business administration, and my specialization is marketing. And then, of course, life takes a turn, and I landed in education, and I absolutely fell in love with education and just the passion that I have for education. Honestly, I think maybe if I had that same passion for business, I would have probably done well. But there's something about education and just working that. But the principles. So why this book resonates with me is because, like you said, it's a book that's fitting for maybe that 3, initial or the acronym and so on and so forth. So I get it, but I also see how it translates. Like you were mentioning earlier, it translates into the classroom. The concepts are the same. And I think that it's really good to actually prepare the students with those skills, those soft skills that are needed to continue moving forward and being very successful. And some of the ideas that are here, like some of the things that have stood out to me, is just really, what it's like to lead from the middle. But mainly it's just having that goal in place always, and just going for it, repetition, and just like with Shannon too. I felt like sometimes I'm like, wow, like he just makes it sound so easy, which the concepts are, and we just need to make that part of us and see what we are already doing and build on that, like Georgina was mentioning, having a foundation. And I think that's wonderful. But yeah, I agree with you. This book, you ladies knocked it out of the park with selecting this book, because this can definitely help in so many different ways. So thank you so much. All right. So 3CC.
And
So
Fons,
yes.
we wanted to share with all of our audience that are listening the next book. So guys, stay tuned. We're just barely scratched the surface. There is lots of coffee to go around. Okay, so stay tuned for more. But the next book that we're going to select is actually going to be all up to the audience. So we selected the first one since it was a launch, and so we shared together to try to find a book that would be meaningful to support the community. But we want to hear from our audience. That includes you, Fons. Oh, wrong way again. I got to get that right. There we go.
Wait, there you go.
Yeah. So yeah, stay tuned. If you guys have a great book that's been supporting you with leading or coaching or mentoring, then keep it on the back burner. And when we drop the Google form to take a vote on what you guys would like us to study next for the podcast. Oh, that's a good one. I've read that one. That's brilliant. That was no shameless plug from Fons, guys, by the way.
No, not at all. Oh, but ladies, see, this is amazing. And I know we're about the end of our time here, but I sincerely really want to thank each and every single one of you for what you're doing. And again, I can't speak enough of what you already are doing for our educator community and the way that you serve not only your district, you're serving your schools, your district, you're serving obviously your state, and you're serving everybody globally too as well, through the power of connection, through Global GEG, through some of the amazing presentations that you're showing, your Twitter chats, your projects, and now this edition of the wonderful podcast where all of your ideas are out there in one central location. And again, ladies and gentlemen, you can follow the 3 Caffeinated Coaches at www.3caffeinatedcoaches.com. So you can go ahead and check out their page. I'm going to drop the link here in the chat. Please visit them. I've been putting their Twitter handles. I've been putting their Instagram handles there as well, and reach out to them. They are some of the most amazing educators and approachable. And that's the thing, guys. Everybody that I want you guys to know that what you see is what you get. They're passionate, they're lively, they celebrate you, and they definitely inspire. So connect with each and every single one of them. So I'm going to give you guys a little bit of time just to or give you some parting words, for our audience members. And so we'll go ahead and start with Becky this time and work our way around. So Becky, just let us know maybe where you can be found, how you can be reached, and yeah.
Yeah, definitely. You can find me on Twitter at Tech with Becky, or on Instagram at Becky Calling with an O, not an A, _edu. Twitter I'm most active on, and then also with 3CCs on all of our different social media platforms. I'm active there. But as Fawn said, reach out to any of us. I love when people reach out just to chat. I randomly have just chats going on, whether it's around assessments or just need like happy thoughts or just need someone to chat with. So definitely always reach out, share your ideas. And if there's something that comes up, bring it up with one of us. We'd love to connect and hopefully be inspired by all of you, continue to be inspired by all of you.
Nice. Georgina?
Got to get that unmute button. All right. So I'm sure I'm going to get, oh no, it's the other way. Okay, wait, here. Okay. Twitter handle is right there, Techie Leader EDU. I was close this time. Techie Leader EDU, but please, please, please follow us on 3CCs, because that's where we would love to connect with you guys. And especially, I liked what Becky said about connecting, because we are doing something really cool on our IG social with coffee thoughts. We just randomly, that first couple sips of coffee, and we are sharing whatever is running through our brains every day, and we take turns. We'd love to hear from you guys. So if you share your coffee thoughts on Instagram, please tag at _3_CCS, and we will definitely reshare. So we look forward to hearing your coffee thoughts as well, to see what is spinning after the Java kicks in.
Nice. Now, Georgina, please also, I would love for you to share, I know that you go live, I believe it's Friday mornings, or because of the time difference, I never know. I know you're in the future and I'm in the past, so sometimes I get my days off. But let us know what you do sometimes on Behance. I'd love for you to share that too as well.
That's really sweet. I'm not big on shameless plugs, especially since it's a 3CCs thing. But since you've invited Fonz, I'll go ahead. I do a creativity jam every Friday morning in my time zone, which is 8 a.m. GMT +2, which ends up being 10 p.m. PT on Thursday night. That's the only one I know. So if you're in a different time zone, please work out the conversion yourselves. But yeah, it's all about risk-taking and helping educators leverage the power of illustration and sketchnoting across K-12 curriculum. So as a non-professional artist, I actually go live to learn to draw on my iPad with Adobe Fresco with all of you. I know Shannon and Becky have been on before, and Shannon's really enjoying her journey as well. In fact, I think she's going to out pro me on the whole illustration piece way before I even get started. So yeah, but if you're interested to explore creativity further and learn to draw or illustrate and how you could possibly use that in your classroom, then yeah, join us. We'd love to have you.
All
Thanks,
right.
Hans.
Thank you, Joe. Yeah, of course, Georgina. So Shannon, please let us know or let our audience members know how they can connect with you.
Sure. So right there it is, at _teach. But again, follow us on 3CCs on Twitter, and we'll go ahead and connect with you that way as well. I definitely second. I think you guys are in for a treat. If you guys have the time, go watch Georgina on Behance, because it's absolutely incredible and honestly inspiring in a lot of ways, if you're aching to be more creative. And follow Becky. I encourage you to follow Becky on Twitter, because Becky always shares amazing educational resources, constantly questioning and pushing myself all the time as an educator. So go follow them. They're awesome. I feel blessed to know them. And follow Fonz if you haven't. Obviously, hopefully you are, because you're listening to this show, but he he's amazing. You're one of the most amazing humans I know. So I'm really gonna push that. But I'm gonna leave you guys with this last kind of thought. Here's my coffee thought for the day, since we'll do it live. Understand that every single one of us up here on talking are taking risks every single day. In fact, the 3CCs podcast, I would say, is a risk for all of us because it does. Even though it is a joy project, we do have to work it into our normal lives, right? We're all educators, we're all working full-time jobs, and it was a risk. But the reality is this, Fonz mentioned earlier that when he first met me, I was kind of quiet and reserved, but I'm also an observer of the world, and I like to take it all in first, empowering other voices, and then finding my stride. And so, I am grateful for the people that I've met because they push me to take risks. And, I was just thinking as we were all talking, none of us have actually all met in person, not one of us. But the connections we've made have been really, really strong. And I am constantly inspired by these people here. So reach out, step outside your comfort zone, because without it, there will be no growth, there will be no innovation, and take those little risks. Because I tell my students all the time, every small risk builds a small confidence, and eventually small confidences turn into big ones. And then before you know it, you're finding yourself kind of soaring. So do big things, don't hesitate, and honestly reach out, because that's what we're here for. We're here to connect, we're here to network, we're here to love on you. We like to receive the love as well.
Excellent. Love that, Shannon. I couldn't have stated that even better. That just the way that you encapsulated all of that is really just how we all feel. And like you said, everybody here is taking a risk and putting ourselves out there and creating, but because we love what we do. And I mean, for myself, it's just simply the power of connection and building, connecting educators one show at a time, and having you three here today and connecting with our audience, and then them connecting with you and seeing the amazing work that you're doing. To me, that's something awesome, because I definitely want to share just the awesome sauce that is out there, and how people can continually get inspired and, develop themselves professionally, develop themselves personally, and just be able to reach out. And like you said, I think that I love that part, reach out, because, we're here to love on you. And of course, we love the feedback too as well. And, we're doing something great, let us know. If we're not, let us know. That's the risk that we take, but we are always, every single one of us are always looking to improve our practice. Ladies, this has been amazing. This has been an amazing hour of professional and personal development for myself. And I know for sure for our audience members. And I sincerely thank you from the bottom of my heart for agreeing to come on the show, being special guests. I know you just dropped your 3rd episode, but I know that you're going to do some amazing, amazing things. And thank you sincerely for being here, because again, like, we've never met in real person, but I know that we've connected, and this is just another way that we've been able to connect and collaborate and share our passion with others, and building that PLF, my professional learning family. You guys are all family. And as always, once you are a guest of My EdTech Life, you always have an open invite. So ladies, anytime that you'd love to come back as the 3CCs, or maybe some of you have some great projects or working on great ideas, you will always have an open invite, and you can come back at any time and share your passion with others, because we will definitely all benefit greatly from it. So thank you so much to all our listeners. Hopefully you had a caffeinated good time. Please don't forget to check out the book. I did drop in the link to the book study registration form as well. Follow the 3CCs. But also, if you haven't followed us yet, follow us on Twitter at MyEdTechLife. Follow us on Instagram at MyEdTechLife. And of course, make sure that you follow us on YouTube, subscribe to our channel, and check out all our amazing chats. And of course, you can find us here right on top of Becky's head at www.myedtech.life, and you can check out all of the episodes. So thank you so much again for this wonderful, wonderful time. And my friends, until next time, stay techie.